And hello, is this thing working? Let's see. Oh, forgot to pull up YouTube. Seems like it's working. Well, let's assume that it is, and good morning. Yep, looks like it is. Okay, so how are y'all doing? Hope you're doing well. It is Sunday, I think. Yep. I'm tired. I think I'm getting a little cold or something, but we shall persevere. So today, I thought I would round up a few topics, talk about the conference that I just attended, talk about my impressions of Twitter, and talk about failure, something which I know a lot about. So let's start with DynamicsCon Live. It was in Anaheim, California last week, and it was fantastic. I had a great time. The people that I spoke to and interacted with in the BC room, the Business Central room, we had a great time, and it was fantastic. The hotel was great, the venue was great, the organization and planning was great, just really well done. So yeah, I look forward to it being scheduled for next year, and look forward to more attendees as the world hopefully goes back to normal, and we can have more in-person conferences and the logistics of that work out better. But all the speakers were able to attend. We had no last-minute travel issues or complications. There were some, but the speakers overcame that and just came anyway. So hats off to all the fantastic speakers. I think we had 8 speakers and myself, so a total of 9 of us helping to organize the Business Central track. Great content, everything from being a consultant to reporting, configuration packages, Microsoft 365 integration. So really, really great content. And we talked about how we can try to cater to a different mix of attendees next time. We only had one day, we only had one track, one room, so it's very difficult to accommodate a brand new user or someone who's looking to evaluate Business Central to an experienced developer. So Henrik was there. He came down from Burbank, and Henrik has been working with Nav for years, many, many years. So, you can't accommodate that mix of audience in one series of sessions. So we understand that, and hopefully the attendees did. And if we had 2 tracks at a minimum, it might be an intro 101 / end user functional perhaps content, and then maybe we would have an advanced functional and developer track. Not sure. I mean, it's kind of like you need 4 4 tracks minimum, but that's obviously difficult to do. But it was fantastic. Got lots of swag. The expo area was outdoors, which was super cool. It was really nice weather, nice and warm. They had music playing. Got to meet with the sponsors at the expo. They had little tables. So really, really neat. Very enjoyable. So nice setup. So hats off to Molly and all of the people who helped make the event a great success. It was fantastic. So while there, we haven't had conferences in a while, so this was kind of a very intimate conference with a smaller group of people and a lot more interaction than, say, a 2 or 3,000 person conference. And so it was really weird to meet people and have people come and say hi, and they're like, "Oh, I follow you on Twitter. You're that goofball I follow on Twitter." I was like, okay, something I've never experienced really before. So in the last year, I've been, tweeting and doing videos and all sorts of stuff. So it was very unusual. And so met a lot of people who said hi. So that was great. And wanted to share what it's like from my perspective. Like, I just tweet, like I just throw stuff out there and I don't know what happens after that. So I had some discussions with people, or I met some people and I'm talking with them and I mentioned something. They're like, "Oh yeah, I follow you on Twitter. Like, I know that. Don't you realize that?" And I do not. I apologize. This is what I see. Like, from my perspective, I just see this list of people, and according to Twitter, it's 2,256 people at the moment. And like, it is not manageable. Like, I can't track it. I can't possibly know who the accounts are that follow me. They're just, maybe there are tools to do that, but honestly, which I'll get to, I'm just not putting that much effort into it. So I see a bunch of names, but I don't know who I may have met, who I may have interacted with. And some people use different names on Twitter than their actual name, or they use a nickname or pseudonym, whatever. And so, yeah, this is what I see. And so I met someone who I kind of met in passing before, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I follow you on Twitter." I'm like, I didn't know. And I'm thinking, geez, do I know that? Well, it turns out his name is Charles, but he goes by Chuck. And I finally deduced from just paying attention that I think his username is Chucky B. I would have never made that connection had I not been focusing. And now, if I try to search for Chucky B, this is what I get. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Twitter users named Chuck, Chucky B, or something that makes Chucky B show up. So I tried this morning to find his account. I scrolled through my mentions, my alerts. I did a search. I couldn't do it. So, Twitter's just not well designed for finding specific content. It's more just a stream that flows by, and if you don't catch it, then it's gone. So yeah, I apologize if I don't know who is interacting with me or whatever. Unless you like message me or reply to me, it just flies by. And to that point, there was discussion of, like, people asked me, well, how many followers do you have? And like, I'm vaguely aware of it. I don't really pay attention. Like, there's just general, like, what's the general level? It's not 50, it's not 50,000. Usually less than 1% of, say, interaction that I get. So the most, I guess, objective way, the easiest way for me to measure this is I can do a poll. And The recent one, I made it super generic on purpose, was about cell phones because, nearly everyone has a cell phone and nearly everyone can offer a very simple, generic response to how often do you replace your phone. This is perhaps the highest amount of interaction I've received, period. And it's a generic poll about cell phones, and it receives 60 votes. 60 votes. And so keep that in context. If you look at this follower count of 2256, that number is meaningless. So my rough estimate is 1% engagement. That means that out of 2,256 people, 20 people might see a tweet, might look at a tweet, might interact with a tweet, reply, like, whatever. So 2256 means nothing, for better or worse. Now, maybe people are finding stuff valuable, but I'm not getting that feedback. So I don't know what those 2,200 people are doing on Twitter. Maybe they're scrolling by, maybe they're not checking it. Don't know. So you see these other polls, 42 votes, 31 votes. And that's like a good response. So, yeah. So here's an example. I just grabbed a screenshot of some random people listed under followers. And I see some names. I see Keensoft. Don't know who they are. Something about Nav, Business Central. And then, for example, Express ACA Forms. I don't talk about that. I don't care about that. That's a US thing. It has to do with the government health insurance program. And they're trying to just follow me, I'm assuming, to try and advertise, and they're just following thousands of people, I'm guessing, if I look. So it's just a marketing thing. So that's a follower. That gets counted in my follower. And I can guarantee you that they are not my target audience. So just to put that in perspective, for me, this follower number, for better or worse, is of very little value. And so if you see that, don't even pay attention to it. So then another question that I was asked about, why don't you follow me, Steve? I followed you, and so apparently there's some unwritten rule or convention that there's this courtesy to follow people back. Well, sorry. I just don't do that. For a while, I followed a lot of people, hundreds of accounts. And what I found is that Twitter would hide tweets. So when you tweet, if I follow you, the more people I follow, the fewer tweets I would see. So let's say that Twitter shows me 100 tweets in a day. It's the same limit of 100 tweets, whether I follow 300 people or 3,000 people. So all I'm doing by following more people is hiding more tweets, thanks to the Twitter algorithm. And I've seen this several times, and I still see it, even though I've reduced the number of accounts that I follow. So I had to unfollow as many accounts as I could that just weren't tweeting actively or it wasn't relevant. And I'm just like, okay, needed to purge, needed house clean. And so I do not see most tweets still. So this is one example. This isn't my screenshot, the show more tweets, but I just was able to find it through a Google search. So this is what I see like first thing in the morning. I just see show more tweets. What Twitter has done is it has consolidated all the activity that's occurred in the last 8 hours overnight, and it just says show more tweets. And if I click on that, it will expand and show some. I'm pretty sure it doesn't show all. And another thing I know is happening is I will see a retweet, and I'm like, someone retweeted, say, the Microsoft Business Central account. I'll see the retweet, but I never saw the original. I don't know if Twitter is saying, well, I'm showing you that so-and-so retweeted this, so I'll count that as you seeing the original tweet. But I'll see something and I'm like, I never saw that person, that person's original tweet. So I told Shannon Mullins that, I shared this with her, and there are cases where I know I'm not seeing things she's tweeted. And I know that because people have mentioned what she did. I'm like, wait, I have to go to her profile, scroll through, and actively see what she's done. And that's the only reason that I learned that she did a demo at a conference session where she had a Power Automate flow that was automatically tweeting submissions. And I'm assuming Twitter sees those rapid tweets and it automatically hides them. I have never seen, and she's done this multiple times at conferences, she will have automated tweets come out through Power Automate. I have never once seen any of those tweets show up in my timeline. I've seen her do it at the conference. Not a single one has ever shown up in my timeline. So Twitter is hiding activity actively from me and from you, presumably. So then the second screenshot is, this is the little bell notification if someone likes or replies or whatever. If there's a lot of activity, all it will show me is 20. It just maxes out at 20, or it used to be 20 plus, but I think now it just shows 20. It doesn't even show the plus sign. And if I click on that and I look at my notifications here, what it's doing is consolidating all of that activity as much as possible. So it says, this person and 7 others liked your tweet. This person and 7 others liked your tweet. And it just slams it into one notification for me. I do not see individual likes. I will see individual replies. So at the bottom, I see Matthew replied. But it severely consolidates all the activity. And so I just don't see it. So yeah, I mean, all I see is your little icon here. So if I don't recognize your picture, or I haven't interacted with you, I just don't know that it's occurring. So my apologies. Twitter is filtering that on my behalf. And yeah. So that's why, and I found that the more people I follow, the more this algorithm hiding and consolidation is occurring. And the less, if I stay under 300 accounts, that's my arbitrary guess, I tend to see more activity of the people I follow. Once I get above 300, it really starts consolidating and hiding stuff from me. So, in terms of managing all this and paying attention to this and really caring about it, I'm sorry, it's not you. It is me. And the bottom line is, I just don't really care about managing this whole social media thing. There are people who use services to track their followers and their unfollows even. And someone once sent me a message, why did you unfollow me? They were offended. It's like, well, you just posted a political tweet with a bunch of curse words. I'm sorry, that's just not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in political stuff. Anyone can scream about politics all day. That doesn't really add value to my life. Sports, I get that people like sports. I like F1 car racing, but I just don't tweet about it much, and I put that on my personal account. This is my work account, my business account, and so I curate it for that. And so, if you unfollow me, I won't even notice. For better or worse, I'm sorry. And so Jeremy Viska shared about this new plugin. I even forgot what it's called. Let me see what it's called. My apologies. It is called Black Magic, the Black Magic extension. And it is a social, a Twitter tracker. It's a browser plugin that lets you see your Twitter activity and analytics and manage your account, I guess, and cure and amplify, manage your social media. Pretty pictures. It looks cool. It's like the KPI management Power BI dashboard for your Twitter feed. I have no idea what to do with this. This means nothing to me. Impressions, 53.3K up 1%. What am I supposed to do with this? 120 replies received up 6%. Likes, 523 up 45%. This means nothing to me. If it's up or down, I don't know what to do with this information. This is not why I am on Twitter. I do not track my impressions. I have no idea when the most engaging hours are. If I'm awake, I will tweet. If I'm asleep, I won't tweet. If I'm at the park with my kids or hanging out or watching an F1 race, like whatever, I'm doing what I'm doing. Followers, I don't monitor it. So yeah, this is neat. I tried it, but like I won't be using it. I just don't even know what to do with this information. I know there are people who have those social media management platforms and manage all their platforms and blast stuff out, and that's important to them. But I make exactly $0 of direct revenue off of any of this. The Twitter, the live streaming, YouTube, Twitch, like this is a hobby for me. It is not a revenue source. So this is all just kind of foreign to me. So, related to that, unfollow me at any time. You have my explicit permission to unfollow me at any time. All you need to do is click on my name and click on that unfollow button. I encourage it. If you are not interested in Business Central, like I occasionally do corny, silly, stupid stuff and post it on Twitter, but unfollow me. Like really, you will not hurt my feelings. I will not care. And I'm sorry, I will not even notice. I'm just not looking that closely. I don't get notifications. Like, yeah. And you should have zero obligation to follow me, even if I'm following you. Do not follow me back just because you think it's some convention. It's not. So go for it. Unfollow me. I highly encourage it because I know I'm guessing 1,500 of these followers like either don't check Twitter, don't look at my tweets, don't engage. So maybe 200 people are like actually care about what I say, and I'm fine with that. If it were 50, I'm fine with that as well. So click that unfollow button, please. I encourage you to do so if you do not care about Business Central. You can also mute me if you like think you're going to hurt my feelings and you feel bad about unfollowing me. Twitter has a feature, say mute this person. You won't even see me. I won't show up, and I will not know that you unfollowed me, even though I wouldn't know anyway. But if you like the stupid things I say, but you don't care about Business Central, you can actually mute a hashtag. So I do try to hashtag Business Central stuff. I don't use hashtags. I don't know who does, like whatever, but I know it's some convention where you can search and filter. So I have some keyboard shortcut that I try to always tag these as Business Central things if they're the related to Business Central. And the stupid stuff that I do, I don't tag on Business Central usually. So if you like the stupid stuff I do, but you don't like Business Central, you can filter out Business Central. And then I do have a personal account where I talk about cats and going to the park and walking and sunshine and palm trees. So that's an option as well. So please make this follower count go down. You will not hurt my feelings. So how did I get this magical superpower of not caring? Not caring if someone unfollows me. It does not hurt my feelings in the least. And it is this truly excellent book that will help you to not care and be totally okay with it. And this is a parody book, but honestly, it's the most fantastic book I've read in years. It's amazing. And it is a parody of the life-changing magic of tidying up, the whole Marie Kondo tidying up and like having sparking joy by organizing your sock drawer or whatever. And this woman, Sarah Knight, has done a fantastic job of taking that Marie Kondo thing and turning it into a parody that I swear is the best life advice that you can have. And it's about not giving an F. I'll use that so I don't offend anyone. And her point is you have only so many Fs to give. They're like tokens. And if you have 100 tokens, You can give out a token by helping a friend. You can give out a token by going to the friend's 3-year-old birthday party. And she gives the example, you can go to the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, but at some point you're going to run out of those tokens and you only have so much, so many days in the week, so many hours in the day. So you need to reserve a few for you. And honestly, it's a parody, but it's a great guide to life. It's one of the best guides to life. It's like, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You don't have to say, I don't care about your 3-year-old, Tom. You don't have to say that. It's like, happy birthday, congratulations. I'll send a gift. I'll send a card. Be courteous, but you don't have to attend the 3-year-old birthday party. And it's like, sorry, not sorry. I'd rather just sleep in. So I try to participate. I try to help out. I try to be nice, but I only have limited capacity, and paying attention to who unfollows me on Twitter, it doesn't even make the top 100. I don't know how people have the energy to follow that stuff. It's not even going to rank ever in my life. So with that, I'm not like trying to be a jerk if I don't follow you. It's just, I only have so much capacity, and the Twitter algorithm makes it very difficult. So with that, hope that's helpful. It is a pretty funny and entertaining book. So if you feel stressed, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel busy, if you have way too many commitments, I recommend it. The audiobook is hilarious. So, okay. Next up, failure. Failure is a topic that I do know a lot about. I am very good at this. I do it all the time in a wide variety of categories. I like to have a diverse array of failure. I'm not a failure specialist. I am an equal opportunity failure expert. And sometimes it's hard to know if you're failing, if you're really bad at something. Like, I work, I get paid. So does that mean I'm good at something? Like, where am I failing? Sometimes you just don't know where you're failing. You don't get the feedback. Like, if someone doesn't call you back, or if a customer doesn't purchase from you, or if you don't get the negative feedback, sometimes you just don't know you're failing. Like, people are either too nice to tell you that you're failing, or they have better things to do than to complain to your company that you're doing an awful job. And it's like, sometimes people just don't tell me. I'm sure there are people who don't like me. They're like, wow, that guy's a jerk. I'm like, I wouldn't disagree with you, maybe. Like, maybe I am. It's totally unintentional. I apologize. But there are certain places where you can get objective failure. And I appreciate those because oftentimes it's done in a totally impersonal manner. And it's those impersonal manners where you can get some good feedback because it doesn't require the effort of someone telling you that you're a jerk, you're terrible at your job, or really you need to find a new career because this is not your line of work. Like, Steve, your coffee is horrible. Like, I don't know if it's the grind. I don't know if it's your pour. I don't know if it's your filter. Maybe you're not weighing the water. Maybe you just don't know how to pick beans. But Steve, you make really bad coffee. Like, my family's not going to tell me that. One, they're not into coffee, but it's like if I'm making a cup of coffee for them and they're over for dinner, they're not going to say, "Ooh, this is bad, Steve. I'm sorry." They'll just drink it, pretend to like it. They'll grimace. They just won't say anything, So anyway, one place where I have found I can get very objective failure on how bad, how truly, unequivocally awful I am at something is video games. So there's this video game called Modern Warfare / Warzone / whatever you want to call it. And it has dozens of versions over the years, apparently. So I started playing this when my kids and I built gaming PCs over the last year. So I thought, oh, this is a fun game. Let me try this. And it's very elaborate, all these graphics and the movement and all these details and how you do things. It's really amazingly intricate and complex for a game engine. One thing it does very well is it tracks your statistics in a very harsh light. And if you're bad, boy, you will absolutely know it. So there's this kind of, it measures, you like run around and you shoot guns and you shoot other players and they shoot you. It's like a war game type of thing. And they track how many kills you got. So how many the opposing team, how many the bad guys did you kill? And then how many times were you killed? And much of the game is based around this ratio. It's fundamentally who wins, who loses, based on how many kills you got versus how many kills the other team got. And if I, as a player, got more kills than I did deaths, that's good because that helps my team win. We get more points. If I get killed more than I was able to kill the other team, then that's bad. That causes my team to lose and I become baggage. The rest of the team needs to make up for that by having more kills. So this is actually me doing well, this screenshot. And you'll know that because I'm at the top of the list. But I'm at the top of the list of a losing team. Notice the word defeat in the upper left corner there. So my team lost. And I am proud to say that I am the winner of the losers. So I was the best player on my losing team. And if you look at the number of kills to the number of deaths, I only killed 16 of the opposing team. The opposing team killed me 37 times. And this results in a little ratio called the KD ratio. Kills divided by deaths. So I had 16 kills divided by 37 deaths. I got killed a lot more than I contributed by killing the other team. Now, if you look at the winning team, 62 to 17, that person has a KD ratio greater than 1. The top 3 players have KD ratios greater than 1. The top 2 players on my team, we have KD ratios less than 1. We are unequivocally bad. Like, I am indisputably horrible at this game. And it's like, wow. And I played this for months, tried to improve, and I might have improved, but what happens was as you improve, you start to play with better players. So if I played 100 games or if I got 1,000 points, I start to play with other players who have played 100 games or have 1,000 points. So it is this just, escalator where you just keep going up, but you just keep going up with and start playing with better and better players. And I am equally bad in a constant measure. So I could play this game for 4 years, and I'm pretty sure I will be equally bad no matter what I try. And I'm okay with that. Like, I've accepted that, oh, I'm just really bad at this game. And so I just play to have fun and mess around, and maybe I have a good game like 1 out of 20 games, but usually this is what I'm looking at. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm okay with failure. Like, I know I'm never going to be good at this. I will never be in a tournament. And so this is what objective measures can tell you. It's like, oh, I'm bad at this. But you're like, well, I'm only bad at this, right? I can't possibly be bad at my job, right? I don't know. Like, yeah, not too many people want the 360 assessments that tell them how bad they are at their job. They think they're good at their job, right? It's this common, there have been many psychological studies where people who think they're really good at their job or who did really well at an exam or a test for the study, generally, they're actually bad. They are either bad at their job or they did poorly on their test. So we are very poor at self-assessment and judging our own performance. And it's oftentimes the people who thought they did poorly on a test, who did poorly on a task, who aren't quite as good as they should be on their job, they, according to these many, many studies, they tend to be better objectively at what they're doing than the people who think they're excellent. So I always try to be modest when possible, and just say, I'm probably not that good. So where does failure come in handy? Well, I am an expert at failing. I am an expert at running into every error, at not knowing what I'm doing, at bumbling around in my work. And this does come in handy. So, for example, I was helping Matthew Perrin with trying to set up Docker containers. And Matthew is not a developer and he's not like focused on the technical side. And he's like, well, I want to try to figure this out just so I understand some context and kind of know enough to be dangerous so that maybe I could add that one field or understand what's going on. So when I talk to the developer, I have some context and I think it's an applaudable, awesome goal. So he can empathize with that developer, or when he's proposing something to a developer, he understands some of the complexities. So he got an error where or he had an issue where the Business Central container name was 2 random words. And he posted that as like, it's like enjoyment rainbow or, zebra orange. Like, what does this mean? It's weird. So people started replying to like kind of offer suggestions. And so Stefan is saying, well, by the way, you can set container name and you can give it a reasonable name that's not some random name. And Christian offered, well, did you use the new BC Container Wizard command? Like, why are you getting this weird name? And I'm like, folks, I got this. I am a master of failure, especially with Business Central, Docker, BC Container Helper. I have failed in every way possible. I got this, guys. And I happen to know as soon as I saw it, the weird name is because the Business Central BC Container Helper build process failed. Now, I happen to know this because I helped him, and I happen to know this because I saw the errors that he got. And when you see, zebra rainbow as your container name, that means that the build process failed. And that was just the temp name that is used when you create a new container, Docker container by default. And then BC Container Helper, through some magical spell, changes that to your desired name. So it is a random temp name. And I knew from helping Matthew that he was specifying the container name of BC Dev. And so now I know that because it failed, this temp container in a partial stuck state needs to be cleaned up. So he's going to have to do that at some point. So I offered to share him that information. So sometimes failure is good. Like, I fail all the time and it provides me with context of how hard it can be to do some things. So when I talk to people who are just fantastic at Warzone and they have this KD ratio of 2 or 3, or, they're really good, like, they cannot relate to me. I cannot relate to them. I can relate to the people who are horrible or having a hard time with something, who are, stumbling and fumbling. I got that, fam. Like, that is my area of expertise. The people who are doing things flawlessly, know exactly what they're doing and never had these problems, and Business Central development is easy. I wonder if those people are real. Like, I hear stories about that. Like, I just can't relate, It's like someone who takes the modern physics class and gets an A and thinks it's easy. I almost failed that class. So I don't know who thinks that's easy, but it wasn't me, and I can't relate to what that's like. So I am good at failing. I am good at understanding what it's like to have things be really hard. Speaking of challenges, I'm looking at you, dear viewer. This is what I am looking at right now. I have a microphone in front of my face. I have, I don't know how many buttons. There are a bunch of buttons right in front of me. I have 4 monitors. I have a camera. There are 2 other cameras off to the side that I'm not paying attention to. There is a Restream chat. You can see it in the middle there. I have an iPad up because Twitter changed its streaming API. So instead of Periscope, you need to use Twitter, and I no longer see comments from Twitter. So in addition to Restream chat, I'm having my iPad up just to see if I can figure out if anyone comments on on the Twitter live stream. I then have the PowerPoint presentations to control it, and I've got the PowerPoint slide over here to see what I'm presenting. I then have Twitter over here just to see what's going on. And I've got vMix for the streaming. I've got my audio levels over here. So the feedback I got was that I'm not paying attention to the person I'm interviewing because I'm not looking at the camera. And if I do this, it looks like I'm not paying attention to the person I'm interviewing because I'm not looking at the camera. Now, if I look at the camera, I can't see what the audio levels are. I can't see what the PowerPoint slide says. And I also can't see what the guest that I'm interviewing is presenting on their desktop because I'm staring 2 feet in front of me at a 2-inch large LCD screen to see what I look like and the lens. So it is a juggling game with significant cognitive load. And I've gotten better at it, but if you see my eyes flick left, right, up, and down, that is not me not paying attention. That is me trying to monitor this absolute technological circus that is live streaming as a one-man band. Now, in the real world, professionals, they would have someone else managing their studio, and they would have a teleprompter. They would have just the camera. They wouldn't need to necessarily manage this. I don't know how people do it. But as a one-person streamer, this is what I've set up. Now, you could simplify it, but I wouldn't see comments necessarily. I wouldn't be using the same setup. So it's just what I've ended up with. So this is what I see. It's kind of crazy. It's what I've done to try to have a certain level of production value. So with that, I'm also moving my microphone closer because I didn't like the audio. There's a little of room reverb, room echo, and most people can't hear it, but I can hear it. So the mic is closer to my mouth. I'm turning down the gain and adjusting audio levels to try and improve sound quality. So that is how devoted I am. So with that, have a good weekend. I think I'm going to try to catch the F1 race. I think it's today in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. And have a good one. Enjoy in-person conferences. Don't take Twitter too seriously, please. And be okay with failure. Like, hey, we can't be perfect at everything. And I am perfect at virtually nothing. So have a good one and enjoy. Talk to you later.
Good morning, sun.